tortured severely and told that nobody in the world cares about them now. It wouldn't be fair, though, to only speak of Trump. Generation after generation in Bahrain have faced extrajudicial killings, systematic torture, arbitrary arrests, and the use of excessive force, amongst other tools of repression. What has always been very obvious to the Bahraini people, though, is that the oppressive regime in Bahrain would not have been able to survive the way that it has had it not been for the support it receives from its Western allies. Under all U.S. administrations, Democratic or Republican, Bahrain has received arms sales and economic deals and has avoided international accountability. Very simply put, the U.S. administration has played a very big role in keeping the dictatorship strong, powerful, and armed in my country. And I believe Americans who truly believe in human rights and democracy have the responsibility to make sure the government that supposedly represents them is not involved in helping dictators repress pro-democracy movements. I hope that all of you, my fellow alumni listening to this today, will use your privilege as eligible voters in your countries and the influence you have in your professions to stand in solidarity with the people of Bahrain. I hope that you will call your representatives in Congress, as well as the White House and the State Department, to demand that they have a better stand on human rights in Bahrain. I also hope that you will raise awareness about the situation in Bahrain with all those around you. Even if it's not Bahrain, I hope each of us is always fighting for a just cause. It is those difficult issues that give our lives a meaning that is larger than us, and it is those difficult struggles that speak of our lives even after our death. Finally, it is easy to talk about how great Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., and Nelson Mandela were. It's easy for us to say that we would have stood by them and supported them in their struggles had we had the opportunity. But there are hundreds of Gandhis, Martin Luther King Jr.'s, and Mandelas sitting in prison cells right now around the world. Choose to support them. Choose to stand by them. If not for their sake, then for the sake of your own humanity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Beth. I think it's hard to move on from that. I think the wonderful thing about the DSC and Young Alumni Award Winners Day is it just represents the absolute diversity of how Beloit contributes. Just one more round of applause for all of them for a great group. Make Beloit proud.
Sorry, I need my script. But we have one little bit of alumni business left before we move on to the picnic outside. Today's a day of celebration. It's a day of celebration of many kinds, both for the Distinguished Service Citation awardees, the Young Alumni awardee, but we also have class honors. The first class honor is the class gift honors. Now, in recent years, it's been kind of close. Last year, I think the class that won was separated only by about $1,300. This year, it's not even close. The class of 1967 in the past year has contributed $416,358.74. Thank you to the class of 1967 and to all of you who helped support this institution and continue its legacy of excellence. And now we have actually it's the longest running tradition of reunion weekend. It is the class cups. And like all Beloit traditions, there's a bit of a story here. So this is the class cup of the class of 1908. Now the class of 1908 was a small class. And the class of 1907 was a big class, and the class of 1909 was a big class. And they always had tons of people coming to reunion, and here's the small little class of 1908. And they decided, you know, we're really competitive, and we hate the fact that we're always just the smallest class at reunion. So we're going to create an award, and we're going to recognize the class that has the largest percentage attend reunion. And by golly, they won that cup every year. I mean, some years it was close. 1907 would say, okay, really, we have to break this record. We have to break this. It never happened. And this year was like those years. It was really close. In fact, the winning class was separated from number 2 by 1 attendee. It just gave us a little bit larger percentage. And so, will the class of 2007 please come forward and accept the cup of the 1908? Now, the class of 1909 really started to hate losing. So guess what they did? They decided, you know, rules are these things. Beloiters aren't really good at creating rules. They're really good at finding the way around the rules or just changing the entire culture anyway. So what they did was they said, you know, we're going to create our own cup. And it's the class of 1909 cup. And this cup goes to the class that just has the largest number of people attending. So 1908, you're fine. We have our own cup. And they kept winning it year after year after year. And you know, I really like the class of 1909 because they just decided that if the rules didn't fit them, they were just going to change them. And this year's winners did the same thing. So will the classes of 1976, 77, and 78, the cheaters of the cluster years, will someone please come forward and accept the class cup? One second. Todd's anxious, but I'm going to go off script just a second. Before I close, I would like to recognize, actually, Todd Hansen. Todd is the outgoing president of the Beloit College Alumni Association. Todd's work on behalf of the Alumni Board, of all of us as alumni, and on behalf of Beloit College has been marked by rededication of service to alma mater and to each other. And from championing projects like Giving Day to Beloiters Unite events to the success of Summer Reunion, the work of the Alumni Board has been inspired by his leadership. And it's been an honor to serve with him, and I would hope that we could all join together and thank him for his service.
Well, thank you. I wasn't expecting that, but I did want to do one last thing. My tenure as Alumni Board President, I think, ends at this meeting. So this is my last official act. I got involved with the Alumni Board in 2010 because a friend asked me to do it. And as many of us who've done volunteer and worked on volunteer roles, you never really know what it's going to be or where it's going to take you. But I did find when I first started that there's something about Beloit that latently lays inside you and can be clicked on pretty easily in the right circumstances. And so I jumped in. And when I got to the campus, there was a spirit here that I'd never felt before. There is a sense of mission, a sense of love, a sense of collective engagement that was really, as somebody who works with a lot of companies, a lot of different organizations all the time, it was really unique. And I realized pretty quickly when I got back engaged that it was great leadership and that something really profound was happening here. And then about 6 months, 9 months later, there started to be whispers about the powerhouse. The powerhouse is going to be a metaphor for all sorts of things, Beloit, as we move forward. But to me, it is the quintessential Beloit project. It's a room that's going to talk to the whole person. It's going to be welcoming to everyone. It is going to be environmentally efficient, and it is going to be repurposed into something that can go on and live beyond us. I don't think people, unless they're close, really understand how tenuous being a small liberal arts college in the early 2000s is. I sure didn't until I got here. But it was the great leadership of Scott Bierman who sort of helped us all direct on its way and get us to where we wanted to, get the school to where we wanted it to be. Now, there are a number of people who worked very hard over a number of years to get to this point in the powerhouse. And I certainly believe, I want to make sure that we acknowledge all of them. But I have to think that it really happened in a total Beloit way, which is because Scott Bierman ran across the lines of the Rock River and just in typical Beloit thought, saw an abandoned power plant and thought that would be an amazing student center. On my board, the Beloit College is very, very fortunate to have Scott. We were talking about it casually yesterday, and I said a little bit too casually, I like what you've done with the place. But what I really want to say is, you have to understand Beloit to lead it, and I am so very fortunate, we're very fortunate that you understand Beloit so well, and that the DSC events that happen today are going to continue into the 21st century. I just want to say sincerely and heartfeltly, Scott, thank you for taking care of our alma mater. Thank you very much. With that, I'm happy to announce that Leslie Knapp, class of 1983, is our new president, and Brooks Rindell, class of 1998, is our new vice president. So they take over right now. Before we leave, I would like to bring the Beloit Choir up once again. Okay. With that, I just have one last big dream for Beloit College. Perhaps we can get air conditioning in Eaton Chapel. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for coming. Join us for the picnic and have a great summer. Thanks. What's this?
Yeah.
Thank you again.
Well done. Well done.
I really
Yeah.
want to.
Yeah.
I really want you to know.
Yeah.